Yo, what up YouTube? Today we're doing an install video of a VIP table in my 2015 Mazda 6. I know a lot of you guys are seeing a lot of VIP cars with these tables that sit on the dash. Gives it more of a classy look. It mounts up here, right here on the dash on the front passenger side. I know a lot of you guys are like me and will having a hard time finding any type of videos of how these things actually mount, but today I'm gonna be mounting one in my car, so I'm gonna give you kind of just a rundown of how everything goes. First, you're gonna need your basic tools here. All right, so you got your drill. It's gonna come with a set of these brackets. Comes with two of these. I put tape on these so I can measure off where I need to make all my bends. You want to get some painter's tape, mark everything off. It says screws. You basically need 4 long screws, 2 short wooden screws, and then 3 scrap pieces of board, what I have, which are 2x. You get 2x6s, 2x8s, whichever is convenient for you, whatever you have laying around. I know a lot of you stance guys already have boards laying around. It's because we all know you can't just jack up a stance car or a lowered car easily. You usually have to use some type of ramps or blocks to get up your ramp. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be turning your bracket that comes with it into a bracket that you can actually use. So we're going to be using these boards to make bends to get the end result right here. Alright, typically in your dash you have some screws right here from the factory, right around this area where you can just mount the bracket to. In this particular case for the 2015 Mazda 6, it doesn't have the factory holes there. There are a couple of bolts. There's like a bolt somewhere right in here, but nothing really that you can mount it. So there's actually I marked these off earlier, but right in this area there's a flat black plastic tab on the back side of here. Basically it's 2 inches from this end where it starts, and I believe 2 inches from this end where it starts, but you want to do your measurements, and it's 3/4 of an inch wide on both from here to here. So I basically marked off my spot so I know when I drill my holes where I'm going to be drilling right into. I'm going to drill right into the center right here. But I just tape everything off so I don't leave any marks in the dash. But the first thing you're going to do is start off by taking the glove compartment out. This just drops down. You pull these 2 tabs out. This drops down. Lift this, you lift it all the way down, and you pull it back, drop straight down. Alright, so underneath here, I first originally thought about, which I may end up still doing it, I'm not sure whether it's going to possibly work or not, but using these 2 bolts and building some type of long L bracket that extends out and comes to the front, and then bend it up and then towards me. But in this case, I'm going to first try using this piece of plastic right here. Hopefully it can support the weight. I'm just going to put a couple of washers on both sides and run a bolt through it with a nut on the back side. And then, of course, secure it to the table from the top. But let's see if we can get a look under here, see where we're mounting this thing to here. Alright, the first step I did was made myself a template. So I took the bracket that came with it and found me a scrap piece of cardboard, and basically based off of the measurements I took, which from here to here where it makes a bend, I think it was like 1.25 inches, but you want to do your own measurements, don't take my word for it. So I basically found a piece of box that already had a bend in it, so I already knew based off the measurements where that bend was going to be. So I just utilized that since it was already a straight bend. So basically, you got your 1.25" here, makes this bend, which of course that bend is going to be coming at an angle downwards, so you're going to have to bend it again to get it to sit flush up here. But that's what we're going to be showing you today, is how to get these bends without using a sheet metal brake. We're just using 3 scrap pieces of wood, which in my case I'm using 2x. Alright, so first thing is you take your 2x, run it the 2-inch height wise, and get your bracket. I drill pilot holes in mine. I've already done this one time already with the first bracket, which you've seen. And then you're going to run your screws, your long screws through here. Tighten these down with your drill. Now you want to measure this out where your bend is. In my case, see, I marked it previously where the bend needs to start here. So you see the bend is right here at the top of this piece of wood. But once you get everything tightened down, alright, once you got that tightened down, you want to be looking at something like this. And then you'll take this board, take your second board, lean it up beside it vertically. You want to take your 2 shorter screws and screw it into this board. That's going to give you the ability to have equal pressure to push this down to make your 90, your first 90. Alright, we're going to put these screws in real quick. Alright, now that you got your 2 pieces in here to make your 90, let's make sure everything's nice and level. You want to take equal pressure and bend this down. Alright, so you're just going to take both hands on both sides, give it equal pressure, push it all the way down. It's hard to do this with 2 hands, so I'm going to cut past this part and just show you the end result of this. Alright, now that you got your first bend done, you should be looking at something like this. At this point, we're going to unassemble this section here. Alright, so now you're going to have your first bend, which is going to put the 90 on it. And I'm going to show you how these steps are going to go here. So now that you have your 90, so your 9 is going to give you your first bend. And like I said, first bend is going to put it too much at an angle. I know some of you guys probably wondering if the glove compartment's still going to close with this bracket sticking out like that. But I'm about to assemble the glove box just so you can see the glove box still will have full function without compromising anything. Alright, now with the glove box in, you'll see with us putting the bracket in here that the glove box still closes. So you still have function once you put this thing in. It still locks, it doesn't pull open or anything other than you opening the box and dropping it down itself. Alright, now we're going to move on to doing your second bend here. Alright, now to make it easier, so I could do this twice, I drew a line of what side would always be pointing up. So the first bend we had this piece pointing vertical, so that was up. Now that we're going to make our other bend, still going to have that side pointing up, but we're going to flip this the opposite direction. Alright, so we're going to mount the screws back in here and make our second bend. Alright, I almost forgot a step here. First, you got to find out where you need to make your bend, your second bend at. So you want to use your mark of where your bracket you're going to be supporting it to is. So you want to stick your bracket in here, close it once you get it lined up. And at this point, you want to take, a good reason to put the blue tape on is you want to take a pen and mark where your next bend is going to be here. So you just want to score right across the top here. Where you're going to make your next bend, so you have that marking line there. And then we're going to go on to making our bend. Alright, so we got our bracket flipped backwards, opposite direction, so we can make the next bend going this direction. So like I said, I had marked this line to point up, so it's always going the same direction, same equal space, because if you flip it the wrong other way, you're going to have a totally different set of measurements here. Alright, so now that we got this on here, the next thing we're going to do is take our next bend. Alright, so we're going to make our second bend by laying the second board over top of the bracket. So it's going to go over the 90. We're going to adjust it all the way up to the line where we're going to make our second bend. We're going to screw these down to hold this in place. That way we don't lose our first bend. That way we're making two turns, one going 90 and then another 90 coming this way. We're not going to bend it a full 90 degrees because we only need to do it at a slight angle just to fix that slight tilt it's going to have going downwards. But we're going to get this adjusted and then we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, now you should be looking at something just like this. At this point we're going to use the third board to secure the bracket to. Once we secure that, then we'll be able to bend this upwards to give us the second angle. Alright, so we're going to put our two short screws in here so we can make the next bend here. Alright, now that you got your screws in, you should be looking at exactly this right here. So if you look at the side, just to see what exactly it looks like, you have one board slightly over top of the other. These both side by side to give it a flat surface. Now this is going to take some trial and error because you have to kind of adjust for the tilt. So at this point, you're just going to take two hands and turn this, start bending this upwards to give yourself the other angle. It's about like 1.5 inches of gap between where these two, where the adjustment needs to be made. But like I said, it's going to take some trial and error to get this to the exact angle. So you're going to have to take it apart a few times to get it exactly how you want it. Alright, after bending this a little bit, we're going to go ahead and take these screws out. See how we're doing here. Alright, now as you can see, you have two bends, 1 and 2. So we're going to take the new second bracket and see how this fits. Alright, so as you can see by looking at the side profile, it's still bent, it's bent up too much, so we're going to have to bend this down to level this out flat. So like I said, it's going to take a few pieces or a few times, a little bit of trial and error to get it, but I'm going to get all this fixed up and then we'll show you the end result here. Alright, after I'm making a slight adjustment, I got the second bracket pretty much level where I want it to be. So this is where you'll be at right here. I still need to buy some hardware to actually drill these in and mount them, but this gives you a general idea of what you're trying to look or what you're trying to attain here. I'm about to pull the bracket out and set it on top of here, see how it sits. Alright, now it's going to be too much weight to really rest this on without it being mounted up, but you'll see basically how it's going to sit. Once I put the screws and the hardware in, it'll be sitting pretty freestanding. Actually, it'll hold up by itself for right now. But this is what it's going to look like once it's all mounted in. But it just gives you a clean look in the front for that VIP style look, if that's what you're looking to go with. I'm going to show you an angle from the back so you can kind of get a better idea what this thing looks like. Alright, so that's basically what your VIP table looks like. The dash sits at an angle, so I have to put some washers on one side to level it out on this side, but of course it's just mocked up right now. It's not mounted in or secured, it's just kind of just hanging in there for right now. But this is just a quick install video, but once I get the hardware, I'm going to drill holes through that center section that we looked at, and I will put a nut on the back side and some washers on the nut end and on the bolt end to keep that secure, and then it'll be fully functional.